You're listening to VK Career Conversations with Val. The reason I decided to do this is that we all come from a place of insecurity or just not knowing where we want to go with our career. We'll be consistent. We will feed your soul. We want you to ask questions, gaining information so that you can move forward in your career. Well, hello and good morning. This is Career Conversations, VK Career Conversations with my wonderful, wonderful co-host. I mean, these ladies have been doing an amazing job. Without further ado, to Marianne Pinkston, Dr. Marianne Pinkston. Good morning. How are you this morning?
I'm fantastic. Good morning, Val. How are you?
I'm fantastic. And of course, to Dai Smith, my day one. Dai Smith, how are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you. Glad to be here, ladies.
Hey, guys, before we get into this conversation, and of course, the conversation today is when to take a step back. I have some great news to share with you guys and our listeners, and just to share how it's grown, how this conversation has grown. I was informed that we now have how many subscribers? I'm going to let Abigail come in here and tell us how many subscribers we're at now.
We have 1,540 subscribers. And that has happened since our last show. We have over 1,000 subscribers. It peaked and we're doing really, really good. And the show just keeps growing. And I'm super duper excited for that.
You know, I was blown away. Thank you. Yes, thank you. I was blown away with our last show that we did. I think we got up to almost 500.
Yeah.
We got up to almost 500 people that stayed on the entire time. Who would have known that VK Career Conversation would have taken off this fast? I surely didn't. I just knew that I felt like it was a conversation that needed to happen. People needed to kind of get into a safe place. Professionals out there, young people that are trying to figure out where they want to go with their career, people that are more matured in their career and not sure how to deal with, where to go, just to have a safe place to have a conversation. And when we first started the show, I thought I was supposed to just bring different professionals on. And I think that's still a good idea. But then I met Dr. Pinkston. And then, of course, my day one, and just having a conversation and watching how they connected with the community out there, I knew that these ladies were it. So they've been elevated to my co-host. I love it. So, hey guys, anybody out there that is listening in, anything that you guys you would like to see us discuss on the show, if there's a direction you would like for us to switch and go in, we're open for feedback. And with that being said, we're ready to get into this conversation. When to take a step back. When you guys heard that title, what first came to your mind, Dai?
I thought about how I've had to do that. I was like, yep, I know that. I know that move. And it sounded like maturity, because it really does take a mature, wise mind to say, okay, I got to figure out what I need to do differently. And you need to take yourself out of the situation to be able to assess it. So the first thing that came up was maturity and wisdom. Like, being able to do that takes those two characteristics, I think, for sure.
Well, I think for me, when we were discussing the title and what I wanted to do was, I'm always trying to push forward, or I was always pushing forward. And I couldn't really figure out why I was getting so frustrated. Yeah. It's because I needed to just kind of step back and breathe. And so I'm like, oh, that's a good conversation. So with that being said, Dr. Pinkston, what did you think on the conversation?
I love what she said about maturity and wisdom. And I actually love that she is figuring this out so young. Because yes, if I had been smart like Dai, I would have done something like that a little longer ago, because I just think about fatigue. That's the first thing that, comes to my mind, honestly. I wait, in trying to push, I'm like you, I push. And in trying to do that and getting frustrated and getting exhausted, I think I burned myself out a little bit. And if I hadn't, if I could see forward a little bit, if somebody could have told me,
yes,
okay to step back. It's okay to, take a deep breath. It's going to happen. Just because you step back doesn't mean you're going to fail. It doesn't mean, you're not putting yourself all in there. Putting yourself all in there sometimes is dangerous.
Yes, it is. And one of the things, with that being said, whether we want to admit it or not, we bit off too much.
Yeah.
So let's talk about biting off too much, and what does that look like? Or taking a big bite out of something, and then you think you can swallow it down and
Yeah.
just going anywhere. What does it look like for you, Dave, when you bit off too much?
I think that I have overcommitted a lot in my life, especially when I get excited, like, oh yes, I can do this, and then time goes by and you add more things. You're like, wait a minute, what's this? And so I often revert to this quote I heard from this ministry leader. She was like, trying to do everything does not make you Wonder Woman. It makes you a worn out woman. And I was like, oh,
thank you. That's
I love that. I love that. And it's just that is so true, because it doesn't make you, we worry about it as women early on in our career. We don't want to look like, at least I can speak for myself, and ladies, just jump in. You don't want to look like you can't handle it, or the pressure is too much, or I need to achieve to the same level that the man is achieving to, so that I don't look weak, when in fact it has nothing to do with that.
No,
here's the difference, I think, with men. And if we have any men out there listening in, please chime in on the comments. I think one of the biggest things with men really know how to put those boundaries up and stick to it. Where women will tend to give, some of us, until we mature, we give gray areas. So we kind of go in and out with, oh, okay, I can't do it, but let me see how much I can do, versus just straight sticking with, I'm so sorry, I would love to be able to do that for you right now, but my calendar or my schedule won't permit.
But we have so much more, I think, to do, because we are now we've taken on two lives. We have entered the lives of what men do, and that is provide and professional and all, but we also have that other life that we are the nurturer, the mom, the home, caretaker, and all that. And it is hard to drive both of those things together and succeed to that, high level. It's not impossible, but it is challenging.
Well, that is actually where we don't really put that out there, because we don't want to seem like, oh, we're kind of whining, or, well, that is part of the role. But the man is just going to work, and then he may come and do some honeydews around the house, but those are still in a controlled environment. When we get off from work, we're cooking, we're still managing the house, we're still managing the kids and all of their activities, even though the homework, and even though we're saying to the man, hey babe, can you help drop them off at basketball problem or a dance or whatever, we're still managing that process. So it doesn't really turn off for us at any point, but then we have to come back to work and be 100% prepared and ready to go. Yeah.
I wonder, Dave, I want to ask you, because you are younger. I hate to keep pointing out that fact that you are younger. I mean, you are.
I think we're a little jealous, because I'm just teasing.
You are. I think that's
right. Yeah, Dave.
I think I'm just.
You got it together, and we didn't have it together at that age. So come on.
Not like that, but
yes.
I don't point it out for that reason, to be kind of belittling. I don't mean that at all, but that's an advantage, and I love you. I think you have really got your act together. But I wonder, do you feel like men are different kind of in your age group, that they are more likely to take on, more of the housework, more of the, caretaking of kids or things like that? Because my end of the spectrum, guys are still pretty traditional, and it's a little different.
So I'm thinking of my husband, but I'm also thinking of other.
You're gonna be in trouble now. Don't.
Am I good? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Okay. I'm thinking of my husband, and I'm thinking of other men, but I think that my husband, and it just because he does contribute, I think, more than the traditional man, because that's the way his dad was. He grew up with two parents who worked, And his mom worked. I mean, she was there more than the dad because he traveled, but his dad would do the laundry and the cleaning and drop them off. So he came into our relationship knowing how to do laundry and cleaning and being a part of the, the household. But I still have more mental fatigue because I'm thinking of all the things we have to do for the kids and work.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I think that it depends. I can't say definitely that the newer generation of men are like better at stepping up. I will say if the women are working and communicating that I'm gonna get services to help, I'm gonna need your help, then I think that's what changes the dynamic of the household. The woman working, the woman communicating, and how the man was raised, I think. So.
And I like you saying that because when my husband and I first got married and got having kids early on, it was not like that. As we matured in our relationship, as our kids grew, and he knew how, because he came from a single parent so he knew how to wash, he knew how to do all of that. But I think a lot of it was my mindset too, because I watched my mom do it all and still keep it together. And so I felt like that's what I was supposed to do. And then, of course, he settled in on, oh, it's your job, I'm sure. But now, as I'm moving around and doing a lot. He does the laundry. He does a lot. And so I think that that's just over time. We all just have to, I don't know. Change. Yes. Communicate and change. Yeah. Yes.
To it. And I think more people are more likely to be able to mold, to things and communicate and change rather than what it used to be. I watched my parents and their age group go through it, and there was a lot of resistance to changing that role at all. And I would love to hear from some of the guys in the audience, actually, kind of how they see it and how they feel, what their experience is. But I do think, and so going back to the stepping back issue, that was the forefront in my mind of, having to do it all, and where I got that idea and why I feel like I still need to do that. And, I've got a 16, 19, and 22-year-old. Do your stuff. Go do your stuff and get a job. I'm still a mother of a 22-year-old in the house,
Well, they never go away. They go and they come back. Yeah. And then, but you know what? I have to say that when they go and they experience and I know this is kind of, well, I guess it still takes taking a step back. I think when they go and they experience what adulthood is, and if they have to come back, they have a different appreciation for what you do. And then when they get back out there again, it's a whole different mindset. And I think because they can appreciate how hard their mother and father have worked to give them a foundation, I think they can appreciate it more. That's what I think. It's been my experience with that.
You are so right. And the crowning moment of your entire existence as a mother is when your adult child comes back and goes, Mom, and excuse me for this, but Mom, you are a badass. How did you do it? You're my hero. When you hear that,
yes,
like, wow. Okay.
What happened? Yes, I did it. Exactly. Exactly. Well, I'm going to throw another question out there. How do you know when it's time to take a break? How and what's going to happen? What happens in your life that you need to step back and take a break? Either one of you guys can jump on that.
Well, we kind of make a joke about it. It's probably not real nice, but it depends on if I need a change in my medication because I'm about to lose my mind. And I don't mean that derogatory. I don't take medication. I could, and I know a lot of people do and need to, and that's why I'm a doctor. I understand that. But it really, I think the point is that, I've bent myself in a way where I'm not okay. I need, I'm pushing my, pushing my fatigue limits. I'm pushing my mental limits. There are days where I get so overwhelmed with it and I think I just can't do this anymore. And then, the next day I wake up, I'm like, what was I thinking? I'm good, but if you're doing that more often, you find yourself that it is interfering with your ability to, live a sound, normal life, your sleep, your ability to take care of others and yourself, then something's wrong. And I don't want people to get to that point, but I've gotten to that point. It's very scary.
Yeah.
It's very scary.
Yeah. For me, it's I actually do just hit a wall mentally. Sometimes it's physical. Sometimes I get sick, I'll start throat and then my allergies and I'm just like fatigued. But a lot of times it's mentally where I feel like I don't want to get out of the bed because I have so much to do. I don't want to start the day. I know that sounds like a bout of depression, and it could be, right?
It could be.
No.
It could be. I feel like that's when I know something's not right. And for years, I would keep that to myself because I don't know. I'm like, I need to deal with it myself and figure it out. But I'm learning that I'm supposed to share that with my husband at least,
The hardest thing sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes, the hardest thing sometimes is for us to really share when we're in that dark place, when we're feeling overwhelmed. Because again, it goes back to us, especially as professional women, feeling like we're supposed to always have it together.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
we're human beings. And
Yeah.
so for me, when I get to a place that I need to take a break, I literally take that break and I don't feel guilty about it. I'll let my team know, hey, I'm going to work remotely. I'm going to work from home, or maybe I'm not doing anything, because mentally you have to shut it down before God shuts it down. And I didn't understand that early on, but I had gotten really, and like you said, I think it was part of a depression, but it also had started to affect me emotionally and physically, because I got into a place that I couldn't even retain information. It was like my brain was getting this fog. It was just too much. And I said, oh, I'm overwhelming myself. I need to step back from that.
That's true. And that's Day, of course, again, put it beautifully. It is sometimes a depression when you can't get out of bed, you just can't muster and get up and go. Then it becomes kind of a day after day, or it comes more days a week. There are days there are more, few days a week. And that's what I was talking about before. It's like when you notice a pattern of that starting, to happen, it is time to reevaluate. And it doesn't mean you got to quit on people. It doesn't mean you have to, it doesn't mean you have to go down in flames with everything. It's not what it means. It just means if you are depressed, get to your doctor,
Right.
get kind of life coaching and therapy, or communicate well with your spouse and your kids and your staff at your office or whoever, and you make a good role model for people when you do that. When you teach your kids and people around you how to step back and take a break, and
it's okay to choose yourself. It's okay to choose
Yeah.
yourself, because you're no good for anybody if you're all broke up.
Right.
So I do want to go into this a little more when we're talking about entrepreneurs. When you're an entrepreneur and you don't eat unless it comes in. Okay. And that can be draining within itself, because you have the pressure of always making sure that you're performing at that level, as well as the pressure of the responsibility, knowing that you are not just responsible for your household, you're responsible for other people's household. And so that in itself is it's its own burden. Let's talk about that as well, and stepping back on that. Dr. Pinkston, you want to go ahead and share in that?
I can. And that I do own my own business.
Mhm.
Sometimes I truly wish that I could just be a salaried individual and just, have I guess that luxury. I mean, it's still a very difficult job, but being that I do see that I am responsible for my family. I'm responsible for 7 other families. And if I don't show up, it doesn't get paid. Now, they don't get paid. Now, here's the real tip in this that I think is important. If I take a vacation, then I am out the money for that vacation and all. I'm also out all of those days.
Yes.
I get back, I got 12 times the work to make up for it, but I missed a huge chunk of
The income.
So guess what? Marianne doesn't take a vacation, and I haven't.
I didn't it's funny you say that. I was just having a conversation with one of my clients, one of my doctors, and I said, "Hey, it's time. It's time for you to take a break," because
Right.
he was in the office and he was just kind of snapping at his staff, and that's not typically how he is. He can be a little short, but he was actually snapping, and so I walked into his office. I said, "You have a moment?" And he said, "Yeah." So I go in his office. I said, "Hey, what's up?" I said, "You're a little off today." He said, "I'm off." I said, "No, no, 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 no. I hear you snapping. It's time in my opinion, I think it's time for you to schedule a break." I said, "I have not seen you take a vacation, and we're almost through half of the year." And he says, "Oh, I can't take any time off." I said, "We've been talking about this for several years. You're no good for yourself, your staff, or your family by being here." And so after we finished talking, make a long story short, he agreed to allow me to block out some time on his schedule. But we talked about the very thing that you said. He said, the work is going to be there. I would have lost all of this money, and then I have to do all of this extra work to make up for it. And my response to him was, okay, well, what happens if you just fall out here on this floor and you can't even do the work?
Right.
And so, that's when he agreed. So you need to take some time off, Dr.
I need a Val to come in and block my schedule and force me out the office because
I have no problem with doing. I have no problem. I am on my way.
years.
I'm on my way. So I'm going to throw this at Dai. How do you balance success and stepping back? How do you, as an entrepreneur, because you're in both, you're in the world of
Yeah.
being a corporate America as well as being an entrepreneur. How do you balance it?
I'm still working on balance, but balance, what I'm really focused on is just harmonizing it, because I don't think it's ever going to be balanced.
Okay.
There's not going to be 20% across all the 5 things I have to do. You know what I'm saying? If I was making it even.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, I give to what needs to be given at the time. If
Prioritize.
I am ruthless with it because I have to be. I'll take stuff away and say no more this year than I ever have, because I feel like everything is picking up. Thank y'all. And so I am like, I try to prioritize, like I said, ruthlessly, and harmonize, and make sure that I actually have implemented rest days. They're supposed to be every 23rd of the month, because that's my birthday, 23rd of May. And I block it off, and I just, I like to take naps because I don't get them.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'll take a nap. I'll binge watch a show. I'll eat what I want. I may even have a margarita at 2:00. I don't care. I'm doing my thing.
There you go.
And that is how I restore. But again, I don't necessarily have the pressure that you two ladies have as sole entrepreneurs. I still have that cushion. So I'm very interested in how to do it so I can still maintain this level of harmony where I can take breaks and don't feel guilty about it, and put systems in place so that business still runs, or I make more so that I can take up the loss that I have when I do take off.
I think we need to focus on that word you said, guilt.
There you go. There you go. Right there. Well, I think we got the questions coming in. We have the comments coming in. Our listeners, our viewers are here, and they're throwing it out. So I'm going to turn this over to Abigail, and she's going to give us a few of the questions so we can get some of these answers for them.
That's right. So we have a question from Amy on YouTube. Amy says, when you're an entrepreneur, what kind of mindset is important?
Wow.
Go ahead, Doc.
I didn't. That was just a wow. No, I want to know what you have to say.
Okay, Dai.
Oh, okay.
That's hard.
I'll take it while y'all think.
Okay.
I'll take it. First of all, I'm going to say in anything that you do, know your value. Right. That's the most important thing. Know your value. The second thing that I think is important is that don't be afraid to fail, because without failing, you cannot succeed. You won't know what success look like. So that's for me. When I first started this thing, I really didn't know my value. In corporate America, I knew my value, but being an entrepreneur, a sole entrepreneur, when I first started off, I didn't know my value. So I gave a lot away because I just needed to just get a client.
Right.
And so then when I failed because I didn't know my value, it was devastating for me. But I had to sit in it for a while. And I didn't give up. And not giving up allowed me to come back and look here 21 years later, I'm still standing because I felt within 2 years of starting my business. So that is a story and a testament in itself because it
Absolutely.
wasn't really a failure, but for me, it felt like a failure.
I
So
think it's a great
anybody
point.
else want to take that?
I think it's a great point, knowing your own value. And I think I learned that way late, way later. You're right. You're doing everything you can just to get that, one client. And then you start to figure out when you devalue yourself that you get your energy is in that. And you start to attract people more like that. So if
Yes.
you focus on your value and up your value, your energy is better, you attract a whole different set of clientele.
Right. Exactly.
It changes your dynamics completely and your money. You just, everything changes. You rolls in and then,
A whole nother level.
how did that happen? It's your energy.
It's your energy.
I agree.
Exactly, because you go in. I'm speak for myself. I went in with the mindset of, oh, I hope they like me.
Right.
I hope they see the value in me. Well, how can someone see the value in you and you don't even see it in yourself?
So
They're going to see what you're projecting out there. So that was it. What's our next question?
Okay, the next question is from Terry Alexander on YouTube. How do you manage your time for your career and your family?
Dai.
Everybody's speaking to me because I got these little kids and I got this job. I would just pick back on what I said earlier, ruthless prioritization. And if you don't know what that is, I'll go deeper, right? So you think about,
I want to write that down.
I love that. We need
Who are the people? Put that on the shirt, right? Who are
Right.
the people?
Ruthless prioritization. I want that.
Yes. Can you please put that on the screen?
Yeah, put that on. Who, and I think I got that from another productivity coach. I'll give her a shout out, Rebecca Kay. But she said it. But you prioritize the things for the people who need you, right? And that should be first. And then the things that it's like more needs and wants, right? So it's like your family, your career, maybe your job. And then you make time for yourself, right? And then you make time for your social life. So that's 5 things, right? For me anyways. And then you allocate what's the most important things that you have to do in short term, like today or this week or whatnot. And then you allocate your time that way. And then you give yourself grace because you know what? Somebody gonna need more than you expected. Your family gonna need more. Your business may need more. You may need more. And so you give yourself grace and you ask people around you to give you grace. And so far, like Miss Dr. Pinkston said, you put that energy out there and it does work.
It does.
So
the
ruthless prioritization is definitely something I will. There's a hill I die on. Honestly, that's what I do.
I love that. I love that. Okay.
There are lots. I'm sorry. Just
go ahead.
There are lots of surprises in life, that you can't plan for. But I think a lot of the great thinkers said it. That what they do, and they follow other great thinkers, is that they get up early in the morning. And they either pray or meditate or something, along that regard for their spiritual self. They read other great people's works and what they do. Then they sit with a planner and they plan their day and they plan their week, and they do that on Sunday, and they plan ahead, even if there's surprises, they're not hit too hard because they've got everything. And that is the ruthless prioritization there in planning. But that meditation and spiritual self and whatnot in the morning before you get up and get going is a reset button on the neurological system of the brain.
I think for me, just my reset button in the morning is so good for me because it's kind of like I I need to drown all the noise out. That's just my me time. That's me and God. That's me just here centered. The one thing that I'm still working on, don't talk about me, is I write down all these things I need to do.
Mhm.
And I have them so nicely written down one, and I never follow it.
I know.
I never follow it. And I don't know what that's all about. I just need to know what my calendar says for the day.
Right.
But I don't follow it. And I wish I could, but I think it's either part of being controlled. I don't know. I have a doctor in the house. Help me out.
That-
Or it's just, I don't know what that's all about. But
fires. I think we work on reaction instead of proaction. And so we just, the way I've been for a long time is just put out fires. And that raises my fight or flight, my stress level, and then it ruins.
But I don't put out fires anymore. Okay. Full transparency. I used to have, my life is like this now.
Yeah.
I've never been more like this in my entire life. And I want to say almost for the last year, Lord, I hope I'm not. Where is the wood? But it's been like this. And so I'm not putting out as many fires. And I don't know if it's because of my surroundings and my team, or it's just I'm in another place.
You're in another place. So put that in a pill and sell it.
Yes.
How?
Yes. And literally giving full credit to being able to trust my gut and having the right team around me has been amazing, because I don't have to think about a lot of things. They just kind of know. They know me. They know when it's things that's going to set me off, or not really set me off, but just kind of take me in that other area. But for me, I'm literally in this place of just being. And I think that when you really get to that place, I think you're probably at the most creative place that you can be. You're at a place where you can receive what God has for you. You can see directions clearer, and you're able to make clear decisions. I had something that I had to make a decision on. My team member came to me, my Abigail came to me, and she said, Miss Carter, you got this, and this going on. My thought is this. And initially I wanted to do everything, but I said, well, I'll get back with you. And I stepped back, and I was able to make a definite, okay, we'll just take that off. We're not doing it. Yeah. So I think when you get to this place and you relax and you have your time where you can center yourself and you can hear from God and you can breathe, you're able to just kind of move. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just stepping back, because then when you're in it, moving. Dr. Pinkston would appreciate this. You can't read the label when you're in the bottle, right? You don't.
Yes. Deism, that's.
I love it. Okay.
Deism, so
Abigail got some more for us. Come on, Abigail.
This is actually a comment from Neville Washington. Said, you did a great job, Val. It doesn't matter what kind of situation you have been brought through. What matters is what you are in the present, and you are doing great now. Bless you.
Oh, that was so sweet. Thank you, Neville. I really appreciate that. We got any other questions?
Yes, we have another question from, let's do Noah Dawes on Facebook. Says, do you think there is always a risk in doing good business?
Oh, I'm going to leave that to y'all. That's a really good question.
No, I don't at all.
No.
And I want to ask kind of about, doing good business. Maybe I need clarification on kind of what that means, honestly.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we're going to ask you, Noah, could you please give us a little more clarity on what does good business in your perspective mean? Because if I think about doing good business means, am I doing good business with a credible or a customer with good character? Am I showing good character to the customer? So, or that's what I would think.
Oh, and also too, the flip side too is risk in doing a good business is if there's a good business you see and you want to take a risk in doing it. So I just either way, the ethics side or the
other side.
So, that's a great question.
Yes.
Before we move on to the next question, I know Day needs to jump off because, as we all know, we got work to do, we got places to be.
Yes.
So, Day, did you have any closing thoughts before you head out for the conversation today?
Yes, and tell them a little bit about you because I didn't get that on the front.
Oh, okay. So, sorry. So I run a productivity coaching business. I do help people simplify their lives through digital organization and physical organization. And this topic is really, impactful because taking a step back is going to help you to see more clearly on the things that you do need to prioritize so that you can get to that space, like Ms. Val said, about that clarity, your creative mind, where you can really, really pour into people. And that's where you want to be. You don't want to be on the hamster wheel of life. You want to be able to have space for that creativity to be your full potential. So that would be my closing words. And if anyone wants to connect with me, you can visit me at my website at simplicitybyday.com.
And I have a name for her, my day one. I love you, Day. Thank you so much for jumping in. She's so dedicated to whatever she does. She's on the move. She's in her car, but she said, you know what? I gave my word, so I'm going to be there.
Yeah,
and you
absolutely.
can trust her in your business. Reach out to her. She definitely can help you. That's just how committed she is. She's in the car, making sure that she's in here feeding us all. Have a good day. Love you.
Bye, y'all. Love you, ladies.
Bye. Okay.
Bye.
All right. Okay, then. All right. We're going to keep taking these questions because they're in here.
Yes, let me get them right there. Okay. So we have one that I really wanted to ask. I really liked the question. This is from Griff Jawad on YouTube. I hope I'm saying that right. If something doesn't go as planned, what is the best way to handle that situation?
Okay.
There's a great step back answer right there. It fits right in where we are. I think, first of all, when I reached, I guess, about the age of 40 or so, I thought when I was younger that if I did everything and I planned everything and I worked hard enough that I would get to this place where everything ran smooth and well and maybe even perfect. And then when I hit about 40, I was like, you know what? That is never going to happen. It's always going to be crazy. There's always going to be surprises. There's always going to be things that jump in your way. Things are not going to go as planned. And so when I finally understood that and settled into the mindset that it's okay if everything doesn't go as planned, because sometimes I have a plan and I'm on it, and the universe or God or however you want to see it wants me to do something else, knows something else is better for me. Sometimes it takes a surprise like that to turn you in the right direction and take you to the place that you're supposed to be.
And if I can piggyback on that, that's so true, Dr. Pinkston. I want to agree with you because a lot of times you're going down this road. And that was never the intent for you to go that road. It's kind of like you're traveling down the road, and then all of a sudden you're using your GPS, and all of a sudden you run into dead end. But the GPS didn't tell you it was construction there.
Right.
And so you get to that end of that road, and you kind of have to make a shift. Right. It's okay. Be okay with shifting. When you're so stuck on doing it your way, 9 times out of 10, you're going to make a mistake. Absolutely. So be okay. Be flexible enough to shift.
To see it. Recognize it.
Recognize it.
So don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yes.
I don't do that very well. And so I think if something doesn't go my way or as planned, I think I get stuck in a rut of, well, I've got to fix it. And I'm the only one that can fix it. I'm the only one with the ideas. Or I just think sometimes I can say, look, this is not going well. I need help. Can you, you've got an expertise that I don't have. So help me work out of this situation. And so don't be afraid to ask for help.
Well, actually, Dr. Pinkston, I'm going to come down to your area and I'm going to help you fix it. Okay. I got you.
Please do. Let's run with it.
Okay. Then give us another one.
Yes. So we have one from Eddie Miller. How do you maintain a healthy how do you maintain a healthy schedule during your busy days?
Another great one. I think Dave said it, the ruthless prioritization.
There you go. I think we just stick there. That's it. There you go. Put it back up there. There you go. And then Noah came back with his, he broke his question down a little more.
Good.
Yes, it's up on the screen. Noah said, well, the original question was, do you think there's always a risk in doing good business? A good business means a business in which quality matters over quantity.
There you go. Absolutely. I think if you take on that where, you are taking on quality, I think at some point there's going to be, quantity that shows up.
Yes.
I just think I hate to make it so simplistic, but anytime you are in a place where you are happy and you are doing the right thing for yourself and you're doing the right thing for other people, there's that energy again. They're going to start flocking. The success will come to you. So always get into a business that is quality over quantity. It will grow. It will.
Yes. I had a situation happen this morning that I was on a call, and during this call, I was actually in the process of, for one of my clients, kind of helping through something, and I kind of interrupted because they were taking the conversation in a direction that was not going to be cohesive for the client or for them. And so I said, no, that's not what we need. So one of the gentlemen kind of snapped off at me. Okay. Yeah. So with that being said, I kind of said, well, no, I continued with my conversation because we had about 18 people on the call. And so I could have gotten in my feelings at that time and responded and been just as disrespectful as his comment was, or I can stay true to my brand and who I am and remain professional, which I did. During the call, I sent a text message to the two people that needed to know, including himself. We needed to have a conversation after the call. That's really why I was running late. And then after the call, we both found out that it was both of us made a mistake. But had we had that conversation in the midst of that, it could have been detrimental for both parties. And so for all three. So I brought that up to say that sometimes you have to dial it back. Don't get caught up in your emotions, your feelings, especially in the professional realm.
Absolutely.
You cannot respond to things in emotion. Every time you respond to something in an emotion, you're going to make a mistake. So
I had somebody tell me, don't have a professional fit.
There you go.
Just don't do it because that will ruin it all. And sometimes you definitely want to. There was a beautiful comment from Frank. I don't know if she flashed that up there.
Can you put that back up there? Yes.
Yeah, you guys are the best. That was really nice.
What did he say? You guys are the best. Whenever you guys are together, you always bring right side of the top. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Frank. We really do enjoy talking. It's just so natural. Dr. Pinkston and I and Dai, I mean, just on day one, we just knew, I just kind of knew these ladies were the ones that was going to pour into you guys along with me. I didn't feel like I was going to be the one doing it all, but they will be natural professionals as they are and share right with you guys. Let's go. Next one.
Yes. Oh, sorry, wrong one.
That's
the next one is Patrick Butler from Facebook. Is it a bad thing to always prioritize yourself first rather than others?
Okay, do you mind if I take that?
Go for it.
Okay. Here's the thing that I think when people feel guilty about prioritizing themselves, I just think that it's never anything wrong with prioritizing yourself so that you can show up in a healthy space for others. But when you're prioritizing yourself from a selfish perspective, that's never good. But don't feel guilty because you're looking out for yourself in a healthy place. You want to take that a little more?
Boundaries.
There you go. Boundaries.
Yeah. And so ruthless boundaries. It is, and maybe ruthless is not the right word for that, but it is in the fact that you put yourself first in a healthy space, like you said. you are making room for a lot more peace to be
Yes.
able to deal with others.
Yes.
So, you
Yes.
know, there are times where, you know, if somebody's hanging off the cliff and you're like, you know, I'm tired, I need to go home, and that's putting yourself first. Well, then maybe not. That you can pull somebody back up over the cliff and then go home, right?
Then go home. Exactly.
So, I mean, I
Exactly.
think that's an obvious thing to say. You probably know that, Patrick, but definitely always, you know, keeping yourself at peace, I think is the reasonable thing to do. Then you can help others a lot more.
All righty.
Yeah, I was going to actually say the same thing and pose a hypothetical question. How
Okay.
can you show up for other people if you're not showing up for yourself? If you're giving all your energy to other people and you're not doing the things that you need to do for yourself, you can't be there for others.
Absolutely
And
not.
sometimes you need to be there for others, whether you're a parent or you just have people that rely on you. You have to take care of yourself first.
so that you can show up and you can
go
pour
over.
into someone.
Don't you feel, Val, I'm sorry to mean to interrupt you, but
No.
don't you feel you can kind of go overboard on that sometimes? So you really, that's where the boundary comes back, where, you know, as parents, you have no choice. You
Yes.
have to do that sometimes, but sometimes it's not healthy to keep overdoing. You have to have a little bit of a boundary and say, no, go to your room tonight for a little while, let mom rest a minute, and then we'll hit the homework, or we'll hit the problem. Or
Well, that was actually very difficult for me in the beginning because I always felt like I had to show up for everyone else.
Sure.
And I think now I'm just in such a place that I don't feel guilty saying,
Right.
I'm so sorry.
Right.
I would love to hear that right now, or I would love to talk to you, but it's not a good time. And I think it's okay to do. No, I know it's okay, because when you are able to show up, you're really there present with the individual that needs you. So I don't think it's anything wrong with.
And take it that step further, because we've talked about how we were taught to
Yes.
put yourself second. If you
Yes.
do that, you are teaching the next generation how to do that appropriately. And I think that's very important. And there was a comment from a young lady that said, you know, as parents, you know, we just can't prioritize. What did she say? We just can't prioritize ourselves first. But you actually can. There are times,
yes.
right? Absolutely, Christina. There are times where you can't, and that's absolutely true, especially when they're really, really young.
Mhm.
But you know, there, for the most part, I do think it's very important to learn how to.
And I think that it's important to start that and setting those boundaries early on with the kids. You understand? I think it's so important. So, Christina, if I can give you any advice as a, you know, I don't want to call myself an old hag, but I'm going to call it an OG. If I can give you any advice, and I know that Dr. Pinkston will be in agreement with me, start early.
Absolutely.
Setting boundaries, even with your kids, because if you don't, kids want structure.
Right.
They really want structure. So if you start early setting boundaries with your kids, with your loved ones, trust me, it's scary in the beginning, but they respect that.
Start when they won't sleep by themselves at night. You know,
yes,
way back on their
back then. Pick them up and take them back to their room, right. Even if you have to sit in the room with them a little while, just to get them comfortable. But pick them up and take them back. Set the boundaries early. Start there.
I'm not a parent myself, but I've heard some people say that, like, especially when their children are babies and the mother's feeling overwhelmed, sometimes you just have to let them cry.
Yes.
Let them sit in their room and cry until you can gather yourself to be able to nurture them in the way that they need it. Because if you're strung out and you're freaking out and you're having your own little panic attack, your baby's going to sense that, and it's just going to make it worse. So it's almost better to just let them cry it out. Get you cry it out, do what you need to do so that you can go and be there and be a good parent for your child.
Fantastic. She knows. That's exactly right. That's very good. I mean, I have nothing else to say on that. And that
came cried out too. Yeah.
As well. Get that cry out. You know, is there any more? Because they've been firing them in on us today. I think Dr. Pinkston, I think they really do love us.
Oh, yes, they definitely do. We have a couple more. These are more kind of from an entrepreneurial standpoint, less about taking a step back. But I think that this kind of plays hand in hand with that. This is from Abraham James on YouTube. Have you guys had any bad experiences during your early days in business?
Yes. I'll say, and since I'm sitting here to a doctor, speaking with the doctor, and that is my business. I had problems early on, which put me into my first downfall within 2 years. And let me go in, I'm going to keep it short. My business was starting up physician practices and going in and making sure that a business is successful. When I started early on, what ended up happening was I trusted, because physicians are professionals. I trusted that they would honor a contract. We had an agreement and that they would honor it. Well, they're human beings just like the next one. And so, but I have to say that my physicians taught me how to write a good contract, because not everybody is, how can I say this tactfully? Well, I'm just going to say it.
Hey.
Not everybody does business with both hands on the table. Yeah. Some people will just try to manipulate to get you through until you've done enough for them, because as a consultant, what you end up doing, those are not tangible things you can take back. So it's not like I sell copiers that I can go over and say, well, you haven't paid the bill. Give me my copier back. So you have to learn to set your contracts, do your contracts in a way, and be very upfront with your clients before going in, and trust your gut. Yes. And so those are the things that I had to do early on.
Yeah. And if you find yourself in a tailspin of sorts, and I've had this happen to me, where, you are grasping for straws. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can grasp the wrong straw, and it's somebody who's actually out to undermine you and get you. My business, I'm still in business, in the same business I've always been, but I had to crash one business, rename it, and get up and going again, because I had people who embezzled from under me, but I was, grasping at straws.
Yes.
I was sinking, and so I just had to hire somebody and bring somebody in. And so my gut left me, and my trust factor, went too high. And so you just have to step with people.
It's funny you say that, because that is also part of my business. And so what ends up happening, that person that you have become, you're trusting, you're leaning on, when you finally realize something's off, it's way down the line. And then you decide to bring someone in to kind of help you figure it out. That person becomes more guarded. Yes. And then what they want to do, they're not really working with you. They're working against to get that person out, making them the problem. Right. And so, I'm glad that you worked yourself through that, because I've seen that happen with a lot of people in business.
Absolutely. Because physicians by nature are horrible business people.
They are hard, and I didn't want to say it because I didn't want to say, but y'all are. Y'all horrible business people.
Horrible.
Y'all love y'all toys. Y'all love, I know it. They love their toys. They are caretakers by nature. They want to take care of the patient, that's who they are. That's why they went into medicine. But when it comes to business, that's not their first love.
And we don't get training on that either.
They do not nothing. So, okay.
We have a few minutes left. So if you guys want to give your final thoughts, shout out your businesses, tell us what you think about today's conversation.
It's already time. We only have 3 minutes. Okay. Well, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Pinkston. Tell us your final thoughts and what you want to leave the people with. And they have been hot in here. But before we go there, Amy, I see you have Amy. Did we answer her question?
No, but we can.
Let's go ahead and ask her question.
Amy says, sometimes because of workload, we become very frustrated and don't act like ourselves. How do you handle this situation? Well, and we also kind of talked about this on the Love and Victory show this past Saturday. So I already know what Ms. Carter's going to say.
Okay, well, go ahead and say what I say. Since
it's sometimes you have to take a step back, and that's the title of today's show. If you're feeling really frustrated and maybe you feel like you're about to act out of character or snap at somebody who probably doesn't deserve it, sometimes it's best to take a step back and not say anything.
Yes.
Let yourself breathe. Let isolate for a second, think things through, and then you can come back with a clearer mind.
And that's exactly right, because one of the things that I'm going to say for me personally, because I am a type A, because I am a person that's very expressive, and my husband likes to say fearless, I have to step back, because it's very easy for me to react and not and get in your face, so I have to step back and make sure that I'm checking my emotions. And so, because it's too late to come back and fix it after those words have left your mouth.
That's true. And I think what I was going to say is the flexibility that I have developed over the years. I let things kind of roll off.
There you go.
This doesn't matter. It's not important. important. And if it seems important, you're going to react at that moment. You feel on fire about it. I can tell
Yes.
you automatically that's wrong. It's
wrong. That's exactly right.
I actually heard online there's called like a 5-5-5 rule. And it's like if it's going to matter in 5 minutes, 5 days, or 5 years, or maybe it was 2. I don't know. Some amount of time.
That's
But
perfect.
yeah, I mean, if it's going to bother you in 2 minutes, take a second. If it's going to bother you in 2 weeks, then you definitely need to address it. If it's going to bother you in 2 years,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? That's kind of a good way to look at it too.
Right.
That's wonderful. Yeah. Well said.
That's a very well said. Okay, we're going to turn it over to you to wrap it up for us.
Well, thank you guys. I think it's been great. And I think the step back is something that everybody, will have to think about at every point in their life.
Yes.
And I think ultimately we are all just trying to find peace and, and happiness. Just remember that everybody's doing the same thing. We all want the same thing. So just keep that in mind. Absolutely.
Yes. And I would tell them how they can find you and what you got going on. It's a lot.
Absolutely. Well, this has been wonderful. We've been doing this for a while and I love it. I do have my own podcast that I do. It's medically driven. And so it's more of an integrative medicine as well. A lot of more natural, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. But drpbetterlife.com. I have my podcast, all of the platforms on there. I have all my social media. Join me there too. Dr. Dr. Marianne Pinkston on Instagram. Please take a look. And Val, thank you. This is absolutely wonderful. I'm enjoying this so much.
Oh, wow. Thank you. And to you guys, again, I am just so grateful to God just to be able to share and feel open enough to share my experience and my career and to pour in to help someone else. But again, VK Career Conversation came from just not having anyone to mentor me when I decided to walk away from corporate America and start my own world. I made a lot of mistakes early on, and it's okay to make a mistake. It's literally okay to make a mistake.
Yes.
Make the mistakes and grow from it. Don't stay in it. And then to Dr. Pinkston and Dai, I couldn't have found better co-hosts to do this with. And I am so elated to have the growth that is happening with this show. It's huge. It's huge. And I think it's going to get even better. I want you guys to share with us what you want us to talk about. Give us topics. Give us your feedback. We don't have thin skin. We've been out here in this game a while. So whatever you have to say, give us the good, the bad, and the ugly. We want to hear it. There is no mistake that is you can't overcome. Let me just say this. I want to give one of my classmates from G-Town a big shout out. Hello, Donald James. Donald James is someone that I grew up with. He supports the Love and Victory show, our radio show. And to see him on this morning on VK Career Conversation, you want to hear from people. You want your friends and your family to support you. I never went out searching or expecting it, but it means a lot. It means a lot to me and Lawrence that you support us the way you do. Thank you again. And to all of our Career Conversation followers and listeners, we thank you so very much. And until next time, bye-bye.